the Ron and Brian Podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock, and it is time for episode 333 of the Ron and Brian podcast. Brian, how the hell are you today, my friend?
I'm doing splendid. Is this microphone working? Is this thing on? Are you hearing me? Yeah, I'm doing great. It is Sunday. You know, this year is flying by. We are recording this on December 8th, 2024. You know, if you had said to me on March 17th, 1498, you know, hey, are you going to be doing a podcast on this day? I would have been like, absolutely not. The odds of that, what's a podcast? But right. Here we are knocking this thing out for everybody who has access to the internet. It's a special day. How are you doing, Ron?
I'm doing okay. Minor complaint. Next door neighbors, as you can see by the brightness in my office, really overdid the Christmas lighting this year. Just literally, you know, we've got a Christmas vacation type event going on here with how much light is coming in through these windows here. But you know what? I'm trying to stay in the holiday season nonetheless.
Have you considered walking over there with a plate of Mrs. Ron's famous Christmas cookies as a peace offering, and while they're asking them if they can tone down the Christmas lights, especially once it gets dark? You know, it is December. Sundown is what now? 4:28.
So about 3 o'clock, I think.
Yeah. So you know, they could tone it down a little bit.
Right. She was yelling at me earlier about why is the carpet wet? I said, I don't know, Margot, and her name's not even Margot, so she got very upset by that. But listen, it's just the way life is sometimes. You okay there? It seemed like you had a hard time swallowing, which that was the rumor about you in college, but you persevered and you learned a lot of things.
You know, sometimes you just got to grin, bear it, just swallow it down.
There you go. All right. Well, speaking of swallowing things down, Brian, how about that motherfucking segue right there? It is time for our drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week. Pleasure.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
Brian, what are you drinking this week? What are you bringing to the table?
First off, I am bringing this lovely coffee mug.
Nice.
And if I'm bringing this lovely coffee mug, which if I remember correctly, originated with you, my friend.
It did.
My life mate, my partner. I've got coffee in here because, you know, sometimes alcohol is not your friend. But sometimes alcohol is your friend. And when that moment happens, you are going to want to drink a Magnum. That's right. Not just my condoms, but also my liquor is named Magnum. This is a cream liqueur coming all the way from Scotland. That's correct. I brought this back from my recent trip over to the homeland, as I like to call it. So what you're looking at here is an award-winning Scotch malt whiskey cream liqueur.
Really?
A lot of people are thinking Bailey's.
Delicious.
A lot of people are going Bailey's. No. That's Irish whiskey. This is a Scotch malt whiskey liqueur. It's a fusion of Speyside single malt Scotch whiskeys and cream, crafted and bottled in Edinburgh, Scotland. That's right, Edinburgh. With a G. Their premium ingredients and modern packaging set Magnum apart from traditional cream liqueurs and smaller size condoms. Smooth, creamy caramel notes play off single malt Scotch whiskey for a balanced taste with a warming ginger afterglow. Coming in at 34 proof, 17% alcohol, but more importantly, it's all going in my belly. Today's beverage of the week, today's drink of the week, Magnum cream liqueur in my coffee. Ron, what are you bringing to the table?
So we'll take a sip first. You've kind of created a little Scottish coffee, if you will. How is that?
It's fucking delicious. It's so much better than Bailey's. This has there's such a smoothness, there's a creaminess, but you absolutely pick up the caramel, or some people say caramel. Do you say caramel or caramel?
I usually say caramel.
God
But
damn it!
sometimes I
That's because
say
you're white
caramel.
trash from upstate New York. You like never. I always see. This is the thing. I talk. You know, we speak fairly often, and I've been accused of putting you up on a pedestal, looking
Right.
up to you, thinking that you're better than everyone else.
I'm not.
You know, with your sous videing of meats, your multiple different, you know, your vast knowledge of cooking oils and whatnot. But every now and then, I am reminded of your upstate New York upbringing when you say caramel. Ugh. This stuff is just delicious. If I bought the small bottle when I was there, don't remember what this cost, but look at the packaging too.
It's a solid looking bottle.
As
Like,
much
you're
as my
gonna have
lady,
fun with that bottle after it's empty. That's your next fleshlight right there. Is that Magnum bottle?
I might actually use this as a water bottle after I.
All right. Why not
people both? Are going to give me some looks. Oh yeah. Ooh, a fleshlight and a water bottle. Now we're just making me very uncomfortable. Ron, what are you drinking this week?
So this week, going all the way up to Connecticut to the good folks at Two Roads Brewing. This is their holiday ale. It is inspired by the little-known Bière de Noël style, literally meaning Christmas beer. It's a subset of the Bière de Garde, both of which originated in small farmhouse breweries in the north of France. It tends to exhibit a more malty profile than a typical Bière de Garde. Nice amber hue to it, clocking in at 7.3%. So if you want to celebrate the holidays in a good way, this holiday ale would seem to be the way. Let's have a sip here, Brian. Interesting. It is definitely a complex ale. You can see why it was a 2015 silver medal winner at the International Beer Festival.
Walk me through. You said complex, so that means there's a lot going on right now. You've taken 2 sips. I haven't seen you smile. You're not smiling.
It's a little on the bitter side. You definitely get the malt. You get a little rye in there. It's not bad. It's not one that I think I could drink a number of in a row. But I will say it's a decent beer to get the party going.
But don't you think that is the norm with these winter beers, where it's meant to warm you up, not necessarily have you knock out like 8 at a time?
I would agree with that. You're in that time of the year, especially when you're 7.3%. You don't want to really just sit around and get schnockered on beer. So it's good to warm you up. You could go out, you can sing Christmas carols, bring toys to orphans, the kind of stuff that we normally do in our downtime during holidays.
Absolutely. All
right, Brian, you know what's next? It's time to air out our beefs of the week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
This dry air. I know I sound like an old Jewish man, Ron, but this dry winter air is absolutely killing me. I have been fighting off eczema on my knuckles. I've been putting lotion on. I've been fighting it off on my shins, which I have not been putting lotion on. And Jesus Christ, do I need to put some lotion on? And then I have had a nosebleed that has been literally opening up every time I blow my nose for the past 4 days now. I don't know how my body still has any blood pumping through its system. The amount of white and red tissues in every garbage can of my domicile, it's frightening. Mrs. Bryan is concerned for my well-being.
I would be as well.
She told me to stop taking my blood thinners, but I won't. Listen, they stave off COVID. We all know that. But this dry air is absolutely killing me, and I need some relief. And
have you possibly thought about picking up like a saline nasal spray?
Well, first off, let's be brutally honest, Ron. I haven't thought of doing anything
except sitting and complaining.
Of course. Yeah. No, I've not thought about what a saline nasal. What am I supposed to do?
So it's like a saline based nasal spray that'll get up in there. It'll hopefully, moisturize those precious little nasal passages of yours.
No, I obviously did not think a saline. I'm going to look this up. Nasal spray. So could I just have the lady like spit salt water up my nose?
I mean, you could. That's typically you save that for Friday nights, but I don't see why you couldn't do that today.
All right, well done. Well done. All right, we'll let that one go. Ron, what's bothering you?
Yes. So my beef this week is with people who don't seem to understand the pickup counters at food places. So I'm sure you've probably experienced this. You go in, you order stuff on an app, you order stuff online, you order stuff in person, and then you go over to a waiting area where, you wait till your name is called. Multiple times this week, I've seen, I've been in a crowd of 20 people waiting, and then you get that person that orders after everybody and then just goes and stands right in the middle of the pickup area. And people are literally reaching around this person to grab their order. And they're just just not even on their radar that maybe they should be getting the hell out of the way.
Give me an example. And this is more so because I'm trying to pull the curtain back on Ron's life. Where are you ordering pickup items from? Are we talking grocery? Are we talking Whole Foods, Wegmans?
This was more. I was at a bagel shop earlier this week.
How do you pronounce bagel?
Bagel. And went in there, ordered a little sausage, egg, and cheese and a plain bagel and a coffee. It's a very busy bagel store. Again, they do a lot with DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Toast, Resy, Open Table, those kind of things. And then you've got people that order in person. They've got catering orders, and people are literally, standing back away on the other side of the store from the pickup. Everybody's waiting for their name to be called, except this one individual who is literally standing there, a little bit on the larger side, so taking up all the space in front of the pickup area. And then again, people are literally having to reach around this person multiple times when their order is being called. And again, this person ordered literally after everybody else that was waiting there. It's read the room, Brian, is what I'm saying.
When you had to pick up your item, did you have to reach around this person?
And she actually got hers before I got mine. Don't know what she had. Maybe it was just a regular toasted bagel. Might be a little bit quicker.
So you didn't have to reach around her?
I did not.
Okay.
And I do like a good reach around.
I was beat me to it, you scumbag. Listen, I absolutely get it. I absolutely do. There is an order, there's politeness. Don't stand, read, like you just said, read the room. If everybody is allowing a buffer zone between customers and the counter, you honor it. With that said, and I did want to ask, because this is something that, if I can tag on, bothers me, is the DoorDash delivery people. When they pick up food, what is their etiquette when dealing with the staff at that food establishment by you in Philly?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times it is literally them just walking up and just shoving their phone into the face of the person
that's universal, because literally so I will walk into an establishment. I've placed my order. I'm waiting for somebody to call my name, and somebody walks in with, if for whatever reason, regardless of the time of year, they are wearing a gigantic parka.
Yes.
It is a massive parka that almost looks like Kenny from South Park. Literally, you barely could see a face in there. And then they suddenly just walk right up to the counter and they go like this.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I'm here to pick up order 14367 for Kevin. Do you have an order for Kevin back? No, it literally is just shoves the phone.
I'm trying to think where I was the other day. I think it was, No, it wasn't Starbucks, but I was going somewhere to pick something up, and I was dressed for work, so I had a dress shirt, jacket on, and I walk in, and like this guy comes up to me and like shoves his phone in my face, and then I realized, like, he's a DoorDash driver. I'm just like, and then I just walked and picked up my order and walked out. Like, just because I have a dress shirt on, you think I work here?
He thought you worked there. That's awesome. I would have.
Allie makes a good
I would have
point.
taken it.
100% Wawa is continuously at hassle with this, because you've got, in your typical Wawa, you've got 27 terminals that you can order food at, and then one central location that they hand it out at. And it's usually the DoorDash drivers, and they don't even put the DoorDash out there. The DoorDash and all that have like a separate little holding area. Just aggravating. I mean, again, society as a whole aggravates me.
Time out. Can we just talk about the our American indulgence in comfort? How trashy do you have to be that you're not even willing to leave your house to get a Wawa hoagie? A hoagie. Like that you have to send, somebody out into the wilderness to go to Wawa to bring you your hoagie and coffee. That's fucking like the amount of laziness that we have just like embraced in this country. Also with the fees. It's just absolutely
I'll do you one better. There is an individual that perhaps might live in this very house that I'm in that will DoorDash tous les jours. Like, I need a taro bread with ube filling and a tiramisu latte. So I'm going to spend $32 for an order. And you want to know how far it is? We could walk to tous les jours in theory, but we could definitely drive there pretty quickly.
Yeah, see that and I know it got normalized during the pandemic. It took place before. We've spoken about it to death. The fact that I despise the gig economy where food establishments have eliminated delivery employees and have now converted that a social need into 1099 people who are working on their own. And if they don't pick up deliveries or whatnot and get tips, they make no money whatsoever. They're self-employed, whatnot. And Grubhub takes an outrageous fee for that service. But it's just like the fucking laziness of sitting there being like, I'm going to have a coffee delivered to me. I'm not going to make it myself or even go out and get it, but can you bring me my coffee? Like, it's just, have we reached that level of just absolute?
I can tell you some people in this house, some people will get, I remember a month back, somebody in this house was getting pumpkin spice lattes delivered via DoorDash.
That's you, bitch. You're the one getting your pumpkin spice lattes. We know that.
I would at least go out and pick it up in person.
You love your pumpkin spice lattes. We know that. That's where it was a.
You know what I am? I'm okay with pumpkin spice lattes, but I love pumpkin mocha lattes.
Fucking disgust. Like, how do you even do that? Like, it's all just creams and sugar drinks. How do you do
That's
that?
why I will say I don't get it at Starbucks. We have a local coffee shop that does a peppermint mocha, and I like it because it's not as sweet. Like, it's not
right.
You taste it's like more pepperminty and a little hint of chocolate than just the chocolate and the sweetness. Double chunk chocolate cookie latte. Sorry.
All right, Matt, time it. 18 minutes and 47 seconds. Ron made the first Costco verse reference. Thank you.
I have to tell you, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to work this all out, but I've been trying to figure out how to sing "We Bring the Boom" to the tune of Ave Maria and have it be like part of our Christmas special. We bring the boom.
Listen, Billy, I never said that I was immune to ordering food. I never said I was immune to it. What I meant
was
just
asking, does it come to your actual place or does it just get left on random sidewalks?
We've ordered twice and it's been delivered to our door. So,
right, good to hear.
So I believe it was Isaac. I believe the guy who fucked me on that order.
I believe you're correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just hope we never get him again.
Let's get into our stories of the week. Brian, these are stories, as you know, as I know, as many of our faithful listeners know, that we want to make sure we get to, that we don't let fall through the cracks. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
Okay, this one is basically an excuse for me to take a victory lap. Me
Okay.
to sit there and say an issue that I have been screaming about for years, have been standing on my ivory tower pedestal for the world to listen to, standing on the mountaintop holding my 10 commandments. And one of them is that airlines should eliminate carry-on luggage, that the transportation via airplane has already been made displeasurable enough by the TSA, by security, by Osama bin Laden, by Rudy Giuliani, and also by the Freemasons, that at this point, any way that we can kind of dial back airline travel and try to make it a little bit more human again. One of the issues I have had for years is the battle that people have to jam oversized luggage into the carry-on, to jam more pieces of luggage than they need, to take up more space than they need to. I was talking to somebody earlier this week at work, and he was telling me that his son, when he gets on a plane, if somebody has put luggage above his seat, he will take it out, put it in the aisle, and put his luggage above, as if, and the gall, I wasn't going to say anything, but the gall of sitting there thinking that somehow is like the carry-on space above
it's reserved
is
for you.
reserved for you, while at the same time, the gall of sitting there with your fucking luggage, piece of, your hard leg, and just jamming it wherever the fuck you want. People to go sideways so they could take up more space. People come in with their roller carry-on plus their handbag, and they're shoving it all up there, taking up way more than 1/3 of the space because there's 3 seats on the side. Like, then also, and this is just I know we're about to get to my story of the week, but this is not me just complaining all over again.
Right.
God, I'm so Jewish sometimes. But it's also just the rush that people have when the plane lands, when the plane lands, to run and to wherever their luggage is, disrupting the flow of passengers to get up. Then there's also, on the 180 degrees, the people who wait till all the way at the end to get their luggage. So as they get up to that aisle, now they're like, oh, well, now it's my turn to get up and leave. Well, I'm going to stop and struggle to get my, anywho, enough.
Anyway,
I've said for years, we should eliminate carry-ons. We should literally just, require check-ins everywhere. The internet society is up in arms this week as the first major airline in this world, Air Canada, who travel all throughout the Americas, beginning January, are now going to charge basic economy travelers an extra fee of $25 for bringing aboard carry-on luggage larger than a handbag or small backpack. So anything that's not fitting underneath the seat in front of you, they're going to charge $25 for the first piece of carry-on luggage, an additional $36 for the second. Amen. This needed to be done sooner than later. Check your luggage in. Airlines, get your shit together. Don't lose luggage. And this can all work. This can all work.
All right.
So that's my story of the week, is that I feel seen, I feel heard, and the world is on my side.
So EB saying that you're getting more Jewish as you get older. I mean,
okay. And you want to know something?
Know you would agree with that.
And EB is disappearing as he's getting older. That man is putting more and more photos on Instagram where he is now a fraction of his original size, less than half, if I'm not correct. I don't even recognize him. He is starting to look like a supervillain from the DC universe. So EB, how dare you? How dare you? Ron?
And Allie's saying you have a problem with everyone else on the plane, which
yes,
you should. Because it's
absolutely.
society. We have problems.
This is the thing
here.
This is the thing, and this is the issue I have, is that when you're getting on a plane, when you're flying, when you're getting off the plane, you are sharing space with other people, and this is a time where you have to be considerate that you are not in your own little sphere. When you're driving your own personal car, your gas guzzler, your Jeep that is going like 2 miles per gallon, or your German engineering Mercedes that your wife has decided she needs to have because it just burns lots of fuel, so we can send to the Middle East. Anyway, when you have your own car, oh yeah, you can put whatever you want in your back seat. You can put whatever you want in the trunk or whatnot. That's your business. But when you're on a plane, you are interacting with others. Let's be considerate to others. What bothers me is when people aren't and sit there and say, well, I need to do this, and other people have to be considerate to me because of what my needs are. That's my problem. And carry-on luggage is a perfect microcosm of that shift in society that we've had over the past 30 years, where people now are sitting there interjecting their own personal needs over the needs of the many.
All right. Sounds good. My story of the week, Brian, as you asked before, we both like a good love story, Brian, don't we?
Love it. Love it. If there's anything that brings me to tears is two people somehow on this mortal coil whose paths cross and they realize that they have made a connection for love.
Right. And so let's introduce ourselves to Joanne Depose and Daisy Link. They are a couple who recently welcomed a child into the world. And what's unique about their love story, Brian, is that they are both imprisoned in the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center in Miami-Dade County. Both in their 20s, both in the correctional center for separate murder charges. Listen, you want to find an individual that has something in common with you. Murder clearly is the common thing. The funny thing, Brian, is they managed to have a baby together with never meeting in person. So you're saying to yourself, how the hell did that happen?
Stop. Whoa. Time out. So you've got two people, different sexes in the same detention center. So I assume that if I misgender here, people, I apologize in advance. So I'm assuming that the men are on one side of the detention center, the women are on the other, and they're separated. They're physically not commingling.
So it is. They are different floors. So they are basically like, I believe. He is a floor above where the women are stationed. So
you're saying that in your world, Ron, men are on top and women are on the bottom. That's you're telling me that's the world you want.
I'm saying in this correctional facility, he happens to be on a floor above her. And so apparently in this particular correction center, you can chat amongst the cells in the AC air vents. So like you can knock on it, you can hear people from different floors, you can pass notes, you can share pictures. So Depose, she always wanted to have a baby, but felt the prison thing might make that a little difficult. So after she got to know Link through the air vent communication system, she asked him if he wanted to have a child. He said yes. So he would masturbate into saran wrap every day, like 5 times a day for a month straight. He would roll it up like a cigarette and attach it to a line in the air vent that she would pull into her cell. And then she would then scoop the semen into a yeast infection medication applicator and inject it into her. Now, while you will say that this is probably not the most hygienic or successful method to do it, it happened. And so back in January, the baby was conceived and then born this past summer at Jackson Memorial Hospital near downtown Miami.
Interesting. I'm going to say this.
Okay.
First off, kudos to them for finding a way, because
where there's a will, there's a way, Brian. We've said that many times.
Correct. Society has sat there and said, no, we don't want this to happen. We're gonna separate you. But love always finds a way. But more importantly here, and this is the thing that I think needs to be pointed out, is the fact that both of them are on are on charges, are up on charges
Right.
for murder. They have taken a life out of society, and they understand that for them to go into heaven, they need to bring that life back. And look at the efforts that they are willing to go so that when they're up at the pearly gates looking at the St. Peter, they're going to say, yes, we may have taketh, but we have also createth.
We've also given.
So here is the baby that we brought to this world in exchange for the lives that we have taken. And I'm going to say something. I commend them. I commend them for that.
I mean, it's creative. Listen, I think if you are someone who is challenged in achieving your goals, you maybe need to look at a couple like this and say, listen, they climbed that mountain. They said,
Sure.
this is not an insurmountable task, and we're going to make this happen. I think you need to bring more of the AC vent semen exchange into your life as a way to get things done.
And just to remind you how fucking terrible this world is and how fucking cruel it is, there are couples that are spending tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And there are couples that are going through just painful IVF treatments, and they're having failed pregnant. They cannot get pregnant for the life. And here's a couple who have never actually met, and they are having a baby together. Life is so cruel. If there is a God, he or she is not just under any circumstances. God, that is a terrible story.
But the biggest story this week obviously happened right by you, Brian, right in New York City, where UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson was executed on a New York City street in front of a Hilton hotel as he was arriving for an investor meeting. So we've got a picture of Brian Thompson there. We've got a scene of the shooter. I've heard different things. There's a picture on the right of the shooter supposedly unmasked, flirting with someone at a hostel. I've heard different things as to whether was actually this individual or not. What I don't understand, well, we'll get into it, but what I don't understand is there's so many assumptions. It seems like they haven't identified the shooter. Like they have, at the very least, if they've put a name to this individual, they haven't released it. But you would think they would have if they did. But they've managed to figure out that this person came in on a bus from Atlanta, came into New York City. They believe he left New York City via a Port Authority terminal bus. But is this just speculation at this point? Is this just, what facts do we know, Brian?
Okay, well, first off, if we want to truly go tinfoil, can you trust that the information being released by the authorities is factual, or is this their way of communicating to the assassin in hopes of getting that person to slip up? If they say, oh, yeah, we know this person's name, is there hopes that somehow they can get this person to reach out and communicate? I mean, for those of us who are obsessed with true crime and also obsessed with the murder of insurance executives, it is, for a fact that there are times where the FBI or authorities will release information that is not true simply because they know that the killer is paying attention to the news and will somehow try to goad that killer into making a mistake, like sending an email or picking up the phone and calling to communicate and be like, haha, you guys are so wrong. You're so off base. I'm still here in Manhattan, bitch. Like, they're hoping that, so the first question you always have to ask yourself is do I believe that this is a true fact, or is this some kind of a mass story to sit there and try to put out there a sense of reality that's not true? There's also, let's be brutally honest, there's also a need by law enforcement to reassure the public that that anarchy is now that anarchy has now not taken over the streets of America. Like within a very short period of time after this story came out, they were already saying, oh, we don't believe that, that anyone else is in imminent danger in New York City anymore.
Sure.
Which is, you could sit there and say, oh, that means that they know for a fact that this person has left New York City, or it means that they're just trying to tell people, it's okay to go into New York City during peak holiday season. You want to go to the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center, which is a few blocks away from this Hilton. Don't be concerned. Go into New York City and spend lots of money in Rockefeller Center. Like, what are they trying? Like, what is the purpose of
Go to
that?
the Bryant Park Winter Market. You're going to be safe.
Yes, correct.
You'll pay $28 for a hot chocolate, but you won't get shot.
So like you always, to me is you have to take everything with a grain of salt, whatever piece of information comes out. New York City Mayor Eric Adams said, I believe 2 days ago, we already have this person's name and the noose is tightening. Okay. Well, we know for a fact that we don't know anything for a fact. That's the beauty. The only fact we actually know is that this guy got shot to death, and I haven't seen the body. So for all I know, he's in Cabo with his wife, sipping daiquiris and collecting an insurance. Could he have arranged for this hit somehow so that he could fake his own death? We don't know.
We don't
but
have
according
those
to the
answers
according to the official story, is they believe that this kid, and I'm calling him a kid because I'm old. This kid got on a bus in Atlanta to New York about 10 days ago. Why does one take the bus from it? First off, if you've taken the bus from New York to Albany, that's not a fun ride. So I can't even imagine a Greyhound bus from Atlanta to New York City. But what is the key thing about doing that? They don't check IDs. You have to give them a name when buying a ticket,
and you don't have to present an ID.
If you go on an airplane, oh yeah, they're holding that photo up. It's going into the federal database, whatnot. Then when checking into the youth hostel on the Upper West Side, they're already saying this guy had a fake ID. New Jersey IDs are a hard plastic where the photo and the information are embedded. Where did this person get a fake ID from? China? I don't know. I know my nieces are talking about getting fake IDs, from ordering them from China. I don't know. Maybe that's where he got his. So going into a youth hostel, you're not in a major hotel chain. They're not, the thing is you can easily slip up. Say you're going into like a hotel in, State College, Pennsylvania, and you're typing in your rewards number, like if you're going in, if you're trying to fly off the radar of a big hotel, you don't want to type in your rewards number. They're going to know who you are. You want to stay in a youth hostel where you have to share a room with two other guys. Ugh. Can you imagine what that room smelled like? Feet.
So a variety of bits of information have come out. They're saying that there was words written on the shell casings of the bullets, deny, depose, and defend, which is very similar to a book that came out in 2010 called Delay, Deny, Defend, talking about how insurance companies don't pay claims. What is amazing is how little people empathized with Brian Thompson, the person that was killed. UnitedHealthcare put out a post, talking about his death, received over 71,000 laugh emojis on social media, which, listen, not many things, we talk about this often, not many things unite people in this country now. I'm thinking of things offhand. Cute animals, people can get united over that.
Sure. 9/11.
Back, 9/11, the McRib, both very similar tragedies. But definitely this death of a healthcare CEO has united the country into saying, you know what, we don't care about this individual. And it has been pointed out by many other news outlets that UnitedHealthcare leads the industry in the number of healthcare claims that get denied. I think something like 32%, where the industry average is 7 to 9%.
Sure.
So people are
UnitedHealthcare led the industry. They led the industry.
One that died, people were saying, oh, he must have been a professional assassin because of the way he cleared the jam in his handgun. No, he's just somebody who knows how to handle a gun. clearly an assassin is not going to let himself be filmed at a hostel or leave behind a water bottle.
Sure.
They found a backpack, which was interesting. It had a jacket and Monopoly money in it.
Sure.
Don't know what the message is there. But yeah, it's been a wild ride this past week since this assassination happened.
This is where you have to get, really concerning, or not concerning, but you have to just kind of, filter things out. Like, he left the backpack in Central Park. Knew it was going to be found.
Yeah.
Why would somebody who's staying at a youth hostel go out and spend $300 on a premium, high-end backpack only to toss it in the middle of a park? Anybody could have gone down to Canal Street and bought a backpack for $25.
Right.
Might have been off-brand, may not have had all the proper stitching. That this one
might not be Patagonia.
But they've already identified the brand of backpack this guy's. This is a $300 backpack. Like, I like wearing backpacks to, concerts. I'm not spending $300 on a backpack. This thing is high end. So, like, why would you go out and buy this only to abandon it? It's there's a lot of things that you have to kind of put into two buckets, which is this person the greatest assassin known to mankind, or is this person dumb? Because there's no in between. Leave with the backpack. Why are what's the point of spending $300 on a backpack only to abandon it? You did it for a reason. Monopoly money. You knew it was going to be found. Nobody's carrying Monopoly money around.
Right.
Except the guy who runs Community Chest. But it's just, there's no reason for it other than it's going to be caught. But I will say this. My first reaction, my first reaction when I heard this was to celebrate, was to sit there and say, this is one of the ugliest industries in this world, the insurance industry. The very fact that we have created a middle person between the patient who is looking for healthcare and the healthcare provider, the doctors, that we have created this layer in between that is profiting billions of dollars every quarter. UnitedHealthcare, I looked this up. UnitedHealthcare's reported profit in the third quarter of 2024 was $6 billion. Not their revenue. $6 billion in profit. That means that they took $6 billion from the healthcare industry, from people in Americans, from their monthly premiums, and they sat there and they took it out of the system, out of our healthcare system, and they padded their pockets. Right. They padded their pockets with it. So it's bringing zero value. Which already says that we could take that $6 billion and charge less. We could have fewer premiums. People pay less for their health care. Providers make less, and everyone's going to be happy. The very fact that this industry exists is utterly fucking offensive to my entire moral fiber. And I was sitting there in the office ranting and raving at lunchtime, just some concerned views from my coworkers. And then later on that evening, I got on TikTok on the train ride home, and it's like my algorithm. It started off with like a couple people celebrating it, and then it got more and it got more, and then I suddenly said, "Give me more! I feed this." Absolutely feed this need that I have to celebrate this man's death. So I started liking every post that I saw about this guy's death. Why? Because I knew what I was going to do with my algorithm. I knew that this was going to, just intensify the number of death of posts that I was going to see. I forwarded just literally dozens to you this week. You sent me the number of times this week that I had to delete a forward because I sent it to you and then went to look to see. And I was like, oh, Ron sent this to me 40 minutes ago.
Sent this to me.
There was one that you sent me literally, and I sent to you like within a half an hour. Like, our algorithms have so aligned that that it was just the fact that there are so many other Americans that have sat there and said that this person's death is a good thing, that we have lost faith in our healthcare industry, that we have felt nothing but rage towards the insurance companies' incredible profits at the cost of our health. I think this is wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Listen, I look at it. We're coming up on the 3-year anniversary of losing my mom to cancer, and I think back about how when she was in pain, she had to wait in pain for her insurance company to approve a stronger painkiller. I think about the times that she sat on a gurney in an ER for a day while her insurance company argued over whether she should be admitted or not.
Right.
So while
can you do you remember what her insurance company was? Can you name them?
I don't recall offhand.
All right.
It wasn't UnitedHealthcare. That much I know. But
okay.
While I will say, all right, maybe you shouldn't die for doing your job. I also have very little sympathy because these companies are part of the problem. And I saw an extremely tone deaf video from someone on LinkedIn who was like, healthcare companies, they're not the cause of the problem. Well, maybe they're not the sole cause of the problem, but they certainly don't help. I mean, you look at how much UnitedHealthcare paid for lobbying efforts to make sure Obamacare didn't get passed. You look at, how we did not get single payer healthcare, how we did not get Medicare for all. And the main reason for that, apart from the GOP opposition, is the millions and millions of dollars that healthcare companies paid into lobbying efforts to get, pressure on the president, pressure on Congress to not include those things. And then he also said, and as far as this compensation, it's not like the CEOs at Amazon and Walmart get paid. All right, so let's try and find 2 more horrible companies that we can, we can associate with. Like Walmart has the highest percentage of employees that still require public assistance because they don't pay living wages. And then Amazon, you've got delivery drivers peeing in empty water bottles because they can't take the time to stop. You've got people passing out and dying in the distribution centers. It's crazy. So I have a very what's also interesting is it doesn't sound like he had the best marriage either, because everything, like his wife made a statement. She did not seem, I'm not going to judge a level of how upset someone sounds over an audio tape, but also all of the comments just talk about what a good father he was. Like there's no,
but they were living apart. They were living apart from what I heard.
Yeah.
Which maybe, I hate to say this, Ron, maybe he did have the greatest marriage.
I will feel bad for his kids. I'll give you that much. But then again,
Fuck his kids. No, sorry. I will overrule you on this. Fuck his kids. His kids are flying in private planes. His kids are going to private schools. I guarantee you that his kids, if they got sick, are not worrying about having a claim denied because they can afford private care because their father makes however many millions of dollars a year because he is sucking out money out of our healthcare system, as a leech that he is, because he's profiting off the denial of other people's care. His kids are benefiting from all the business decisions he's making. Fuck those kids. I would love to see those kids executed also. And if you're listening to me, Adjuster, kill those kids. No, I can't. That's a joke. FBI, I'm not encouraging the murder of children.
I do. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. Do love the nicknames the shooter's been given. Initially, people were calling him Robin Hoodie. Brilliant. And then just someone was like, we should call him the Adjuster. Yeah, you know what? Even better. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. Absolutely. Chef's kiss. What I also loved, and this is just, again, this week, as I'm sitting there with my nosebleeds and my eczema, I'm sitting there just regaling in how, like society, like we're still good. Like all the bitching that I do, all the loss of belief that I've had in my lifetime over the institutions that I thought the society was based on. Suddenly, like the very fact that the FBI put up a offering of $10,000 for information that led to the arrest of this guy. And 2 days later, Mayor Adams is up there bemoaning the fact that there were not more people calling with tips. The number of New Yorkers that were openly celebrating the fact that there is absolutely no way in hell that we are snitching on this guy, that if we saw him walking down the street, we'd invite him into our home, make him a cup of coffee, provide him some safe shelter if he needs before it gets dark so he can go out again. Like the very fact that all of New York immediately was just like, oh yeah, we don't want that 10 grand. It's 50 grand now. We don't want that.
Doesn't
50
matter.
grand. Free this man. Keep him out there. He deserves to live a life of happiness. That's like people saying like, oh, you know what? Like, we sent your dog off to a farm, in the suburbs and, your dog's living a free life. Like, that's what we want to do. Like the very fact that like, as America, nobody is stepping forward with any key information. Like there have to be people who recognize the face.
Sure.
Even
I read an article.
Even the eyes and eyebrows. Sorry, you were saying.
No, I read an article yesterday talking about, how you have all these TikTok detectives who normally are tracking down people they see from videos on, whether they're doing racist things, they're abusing animals, hurting people, whatever, how all of them to a person have not even bothered. And they talk some of them like, we're not going to find out who this fucking guy is. We have no issue with this whatsoever. Correct. So it is, again, there are so few things that unite the country and unite the internet these days. And it's, in a way, it's beautiful that this is one of those things. Yeah. And I'm also seeing TikToks of people commenting on how many denied claims have all of a sudden been reversed. Like people are commenting on TikTok videos like, oh, I wasn't supposed to get this medication, but I can get it now. Like I had a doctor's appointment on Friday and we were talking about a medication I was on that, my insurance company was kind of going back and forth as to whether they approve it. And he even made the comment. He's like, well, let's try it again because I'm hearing stuff's getting approved this week. I'm like, all right, Doc, I like where you're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that, on the same day that this CEO was killed, you mentioned it earlier today, the CEO of McDonald's goes on TV and announces the McRib is back, or was it the chicken
snack wrap? They're bringing the snack wrap back in 2025.
The very fact that McDonald's CEO just out there was like, well, they're killing CEOs. Hey guys, what do we? What popular items do we discontinue?
Anthem said they were going to limit anesthesia minutes for surgery, and then this guy gets killed, and then a couple of days later, like, well, maybe we were a little hasty. Maybe our messaging was confused, but don't worry about that. We're going to give you we're just going to send a canister of anesthesia to every home in America.
Everyone gets one under their Christmas tree. Like
you get anesthesia. You get anesthesia. You get anesthesia.
The collective rage that has existed in this country that was always simmering there, and this guy, the adjuster, has brought to the surface the very fact that the American people, maybe not everyone, but and keep in mind, and this is the true thing, you and I are fortunate because we have healthcare. Imagine the people that the Americans that don't, the Americans that are sitting there. I know people that I work with who avoid going to urgent care because they don't want to pay the copay, who are well-paid people, but they're like, yeah, that's $75. It's going to hurt. The $50. Like, I'm just going to see how I feel in a couple days. Maybe the swelling goes down. The very fact that, like this is all being driven based on, on the insurance industry and whatnot, the level of rage that is existing in America over our failed healthcare system, that that we as so many people have expressed similar views over this past week. It gives me hope for society.
It does. I feel better. It's maybe a bit morbid to say that, but I feel optimistic.
And I don't feel bad.
No.
And I don't feel bad feeling this way, and I don't feel bad for publicly viewing my, exposing my rage and knowing that there are like-minded people in this country. I will also say, of all races, all ethnicities, across economic, battle lines and whatnot, everybody has problems with our healthcare system, and is an outrage that as a country we have so much corporate profit and we are allowing a system to cause our own suffering.
Tough week for the New York PD. Not only were they not able to really track down the adjuster, but also getting a lot of pushback for their protection of former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who was in New York City this past week, staying at the Park Lane Hotel. He currently has an outstanding warrant from the International Criminal Court due to the situation with Palestine and Gaza. They protected this man from protesters, pro-Palestinian protesters, but people saying, like, shouldn't the police arrest people that have outstanding warrants? But apparently not in New York City, Brian. Defend your former city.
I can. I had to leave it. It's become New York City has become a lawless jungle. Criminals are roaming the streets on every corner. There's
All
just
right.
one that I like. But
more important, Brian.
Yes.
What are you watching?
Oh, I have, first off, right off the bat, high point of the week was watching the Yacht Rock documentary, D-O-C-K. Not, just, you got to give Max some credit. As somebody who grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, and has forgotten about what kind of music I listened to just nonstop as a child, the resurgence of this genre that they now are referring to as yacht rock, I mocked it years ago. I was just like, oh, that's, that smooth listening nonsense. Fuck that nonsense. Give me some stuff where people are screaming. But I'm going to tell you something, Ron. I watched this documentary. I have a newfound respect for artists like Christopher Cross, Michael McDonald, Toto, Kenny Loggins, the Doobie Brothers, Steely Dan. Really, I was expecting you to.
I think you nailed it.
But it also reminded me of just how much I enjoyed this music growing up as a kid. Been listening to it for the last several days. There's an excellent playlist on Spotify that they created for the movie of music that inspired the artists that were, making music around that time. And then also just an amazing appreciation for Toto.
Yeah.
My memory was just of Toto was, those are the guys that did Africa and Rosanna.
Right.
But I had no idea that collectively, I think they've appeared on over 5,000 albums. Just the fact that they pretty much were the house band for the music industry during that period of time. They were literally just a bunch of session musicians that were just hired by, every record label. You needed a great guitar solo, you got this guy. You wanted, pianos in the background, hire this guy. And like, people kept saying to them, you guys should really form your own band. And after, so many years of success on their own, individually and as a group together, they just were like, all right, let's start a band called Toto. Amazing. Watch that. Also watched a Landman with Billy Bob Thornton.
I've heard that's good.
They have put out 4 episodes. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a warning here. It is done by MTV, which I like. MTV Films is like the production house that's putting it out. So it's not as serious as I was hoping it would be. There is some, like, I guess you could say, comic relief. There is gratuitous. I don't want to say nudity because they're not nude, but like they introduce his like 17-year-old daughter who every 3 scenes is walking around in a bikini. Like, does not really seem to fit with the story they're telling, which is basically an oil fix-it guy. Fixer. He basically is a fixer in the oil industry in Texas. John Hamm is in it also. Ali Larder, something.
Yeah, Ali Larder. I think you got that right.
Yeah. Just really well done. They've released 4 episodes. I've knocked them all out. So I will keep watching that. How about you, Ron? What are you watching?
So last night we watched the movie Conclave. So that is about the Pope dying of a heart attack and the conclave to select a new Pope. It's a killer lineup. Ray Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Isabella Rossellini.
Whoa.
It's obviously a very religious based movie, but it's also like a kind of a thriller, kind of mystery type thing. So listen, it is very slow moving. I will say that, but very well shot. Very exactly. Well shot, great cinematography, great cast, great acting. So I would recommend it. Still watching Day of the Jackal. I think there are 8 episodes in now. Still very good there. But I think we both watched the new docuseries on Peacock about Joe Francis and the Girls Gone Wild industry.
You're watching
Don't lie, Brian.
You're watching something about Girls Gone Wild?
Yes, as did you, my friend.
I actually didn't watch it. I totally forgot to.
You didn't watch it yet?
No, I totally forgot to. It's on my list of things to watch, but also are the movies of the Girls Gone Wild that I have somewhere on a hard drive somewhere in this room. I gotta pull that up. So you're I put that on the list of things for us to watch, and I just did not get around to it. It's been a busy week for me, Ron. I've been running around town trying to take out surveillance cameras in New York City. Talk to me about Girls Gone Wild.
So, for those of us old enough to remember, Girls Gone Wild was a thing back in the late 90s, early 2000s. If you watch TV late at night, you would see the commercials from them. It was, the tropical theme music. Hey, you'll see normal girls gone wild. And so it basically talks about, and shockingly enough, a lot of horrible things going on in the background with the Girls Gone Wild and Joe Francis and everything else. First thing, maybe it's my naivete. Like, I literally thought these videotapes were literally just like an hour of women taking their tops off. Apparently, there was hardcore sex going on these tapes as well.
I'm embarrassed to go into the authoritative answer that I'm about to give, and people, please don't judge me. It started off that way.
Right.
It started off as we are going to put a video crew in spring break bars, and we're just going to watch girls go wild. We're going to get them liquored up, and they're going to take their tops off. That's where it started. But just like most things where it's just like, okay, it's already been done before. Where do we go from here? Okay, when you're on your like 80th Girls Gone Wild video, like, okay, eventually it's just like, it's the same fucking thing. Like, people are, losing interest. We have to up the ante. And that's where suddenly it got, okay, now let's get like the girls on the bus. And then we're going to videotape them like, being, intimate with themselves. And then, okay, we've done that enough times. Now let's get 2 girls who are going to be intimate with each other. And they just had to keep upping it until eventually it just, people were like, this just became porn. And, if we want to watch porn, we'll watch porn. The whole thing about the Girls Gone Wild was that it wasn't necessarily porn.
What was interesting, I
feel like I was rationalizing.
Is you find out that Joe Francis, do you remember Banned from Television? Those videotapes?
Banned from television?
Do you remember? Well, I guess let's go back even before that. Do you remember a TV show called Real TV? It was a syndicated reality TV that was, it was all these events like police chases and women and things like that weren't covered on mainstream. And
Very
then
possible.
there apparently was footage that the folks at Real TV couldn't get on the air because of how either brutal or risque it was. So Joe Francis, his first business was to take all of these clips that couldn't be shown on TV, and that was his first videotape series, was this Banned from Television, which he made millions of dollars on.
Smart guy.
Pivoted over to Girls Gone Wild. And pivoted over to cocaine. But he's such a horrible individual.
Sure.
And, again, I guess we should not be surprised. I mean, they were filming underage girls. They were plying women with alcohol and drugs to get them to do things. There was, just a horrible, horrible business model. And he's done jail time. He's been down in Mexico for the last, I want to say 10, 15 years, because if he comes back to this country, he's got a number of lawsuits that are facing him.
Oh, yeah, no, terrible human being. But I think it also kind of speaks to the time. This was the age of the Paris Hiltons, the Kim Kardashians coming up. Like
and they talk about that. Like they talk about how Girls Gone Wild was really the precursor to modern reality television.
Let's not give it that much credit.
But when you see the comparisons, and again, I do recommend, it's only 3 episodes, but it's just crazy the amount of money that people spent on these things. So the first 2 years, Girls Gone Wild made more than $20 million. By 2002, there were 83 different Girls Gone Wild titles, and they were airing 30-minute infomercials across the U.S.
Yeah. I have a question. Like,
Sure.
Wasn't their business model that you would buy a video and then they would just keep sending you out? Like, wasn't it a subscription system? And that's really where they were making their money, was the fact that
you might know more about that than I would. I
don't think they were. I don't think when it came out, and as you said, this was like, I don't know. It's not necessarily pre-internet, but the world wasn't driven by the internet yet, and you were still ordering videotapes and DVDs that were being mailed out to you. I believe their business model was, get this one for $9.99, and all future titles will be mailed out to you for $19.99. And I think people just kind of forgot that they were paying for it. Yeah, basically, Williams says so. Girls Gone Wild was basically Columbia House. Yes, with underage girls that were being coming topless.
Right.
I just, as a warm-blooded American male, I remember thinking to myself when Girls Gone Wild came out, being like, if I want to watch porn, I'll watch porn. So what is this really providing me? Like, I never understood what the fascination with it was, because it was just like, hey, we're kind of showing you porn, but it's not really porn. It's, but it's just like, I didn't understand what niche was it really speaking to. Because
so what they say in the docuseries is the hook is that these are the girls next door who you wouldn't think would do this kind of thing, but you're seeing them behind the scenes, versus like a amateur professional porn star. Like, this is like, someone who lives down the road from me getting a little crazy on spring break. But they talk to a number of the women that were on these videos, and to hear how it negatively impacted their lives, because you're 18, you're drunk at spring break, someone shoves a release in your face and shoots you taking your top off. You don't think anything of it. And then, there was a woman who talked about how one of her teachers in high school asked her to sign one of the videotapes. Like, how fucking creepy is that?
That's gross.
Or that, her dad's friends were like, oh, I saw your rack on this video. Like, yeah, just horrible stories. The one takeaway is Joe Francis is a horrible individual who has not yet been brought to justice, and may never be, which is the sad thing.
But also all the other people that worked on that, all the people in the video crews, the people that were, plying these girls with drinks, the people that were, forcing them to sign releases, knowing exactly that, they were not sober and in a place to be, waiving those rights.
They talked to one of the photographers that worked for Girls Gone Wild during that time, and I don't know that he necessarily gets around to taking full accountability of his actions, but he does say, he's like, I fully don't feel I can live long enough to make up for the people that I hurt doing this job.
Yeah. Ugh, gross. I can't believe you watched that. You're a pig. You're a pig, Ron. You're a pig.
Sorry. My apologies.
Question. But did Mrs. Ron watch this with you, or did you wait until Mrs. Ron went to sleep?
She watched it as well. Yeah. Because she remembers the commercials and everything else. And again, you remember the commercials from the 90s and the early 2000s, and you think that it's just like, I think she thought the same thing I did, that it's just, women getting their tops off, maybe making out a little bit in public. But to hear it, like what you didn't see on the commercials, what they were in essence, forcing, women to do. Like they'd get women on the Girls Gone Wild bus. And like, I always think of like I always think about the It's Always Sunny episode where Dennis talks about the implication. Like, we're going to get this woman out on a boat. She won't say no, though, because of the implication. And that was basically like they get these women separated from their friends. They'd get them on this bus. They'd get them in a private room on the bus. And there'd be 4 or 5 people basically keeping this woman in this private room on the bus. And so, I think a lot of these women probably felt the only way I'm going to get out of this situation is if I do what they want. Which just makes it that much more horrible.
And also keep in mind, these women are heavily intoxicated, so they're not in their right state of mind. And who knows what other types of substances they had been plied with.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, even people are like, yeah, I was drunk, but I didn't think I was that drunk. So, some people wonder, did they slip something into my drink? Who knows? But it's an interesting watch. It's a disturbing watch, but it's an interesting watch.
Yeah, I'll probably watch on the train on the commute to work in the morning.
There you go.
I'm surrounded by teenage kids.
All right.
What else are you watching? Anything else?
I think that's it for right now. We finished From the latest season of From is done. That was pretty good. I do need to I know season 2 of Silo is out on Apple TV, so I need to start watching that. I see Severance coming back. I did like season 1 of Severance, so I'll have to watch that.
I may have to go back and rewatch season 1. I remember Severance season 1 was I had to restart that. I think I got like 2 episodes into it and just didn't grab me. I remember you speaking highly about it. And then I remember I went back into it, and I think it was on one of the flights that I had where I was going over to London. So I had several hours to kill, and I knocked out. I just definitely got into it. But it feels like one of those seasons where it's going to pick up where the last one left. It's not going to, so I think you want to have that fresh in your mind. So I may rewatch Severance.
Right. We also, this past week, we emailed out the link to current participants in the Ron and Brian death pool to start putting together your list for 2025. We'll put that link out on our social media this week. Lots of, I've put my list starting together. There's a lot of people under the weather, as we're seeing. So, I think people are really, people look at like Andrew H., for example, who right now sits in second behind me, but we'll take it all because I can't technically win. This will be a 3rd time win for him.
I think this is his second. No. Third time. Yeah. You're correct. That man knows death. That man knows death. This would also,
I feel like he is driving people to research better as they pick.
But at the end, say, Ron, wouldn't this be your second victory?
This would be my first. I don't think I've
won one year.
No, this would be from what I remember. I'll go through the numbers, but I don't think I've done this well previously. I will say I have set a new record for point totals this year, but I don't want to pat myself on the back too much.
Listen, I would like to say that, I've scored some points here, but more importantly, I have kept women alive. When I said, when I put my list together, it said, listen, I've done poorly in the death pool in the past. And as such, I want to lift and support women. So therefore, I picked 20 women with the goal of keeping them all alive in 2024. I failed a couple of them. I don't remember the names right now, but a large majority of the women that I lifted and supported in 2024 are still alive, thanks to me. And I'm not saying I deserve a medal for that, but just keep me in your thoughts and prayers, people.
Would you say that the real points are the friends you've made along the way?
Absolutely. And speaking of friends that have been lost along the way, Ron, did you invest in the Hawk Tuah meme coin?
I did not. So Haley, whatever her last name is, Hawk Tuah girl, $ Hawk was the new Bitcoin or I guess crypto
meme coin. We'll call it a meme coin.
Meme coin shot up to a $500 million cap valuation to then plummet immediately down to 60 million. People across the internet talking about how they lost thousands and thousands of dollars on this. It seems like the only people that made money was Haley and her close circle of friends. So I have a feeling she is going, as many people said, she's going to have to talk to a attorney at the SEC probably very time soon.
I think the only people that did make money was Brian Thompson, UnitedHealthcare CEO. Apparently, from what I heard, he was an early investor, had bought thousands of the Hawk Tuah crypto coin, sold immediately after it was put out there. But she should be going. From what I read, 97% of the supply of her coin was held by insiders. Who, as soon as it went public and people started buying it, were immediately feeding their supply to them, selling as the price was going down. And I will also say, what is the Latin phrase, buyer beware?
Carpe diem?
Yeah, no, that seize the day. But okay, we'll take that. If you're stupid enough to sit there and go, you know what, I'm going to invest in the Hawk Tuah Bitcoin, whatever it is, you're a fool, and your money is no longer in your possession, and for a reason, because you're fucking stupid. We're smarter than that. We would never buy NFTs or
no, nothing like that. So just about time to get wrapped up here. A lot of stuff we didn't even cover. Brian, the Syrian government fell yesterday. Donald Trump has said that he's going to pardon all of the January 6th rioters on day one of his presidency. No time for that, because we have to get ready for After Dark, which is something that we do for our Patreon subscribers. If you are not a Patreon subscriber, what the hell is wrong with you? I have heard rumors that the adjuster has signed up at the bronze level. He wants to support us because he knows we support him. His efforts. He may be watching After Dark from a undisclosed location, which you could be as well. If you went to ronandbrianpodcast.com, you click in the upper right-hand corner, you join at the $10 a month or higher level, and you can join us live for After Dark, which happens after this episode pretty much each and every Sunday night. So we look forward to entertaining our Patreon folks shortly. We hope to continue to grow those numbers as we head into 2025.
Ooh, I can't say it any better than you just did.
I did what I could. Anything else, Brian, before we wrap up a stellar episode 333?
Yeah, there's so much more. We just can't get to it. There's not enough time, Ron.
Not enough time. So busy.
First up, can we actually call it After Dark if it's this light out? I mean, like your neighbor's Christmas display is blinding my home office here. Yeah,
it's it's After Dark in our hearts, Brian, and I think that's where it really matters.
Thank you, buddy. What a great episode. What a great episode. Let's keep the adjuster free.
All right, to the good people. Times, everybody. We will catch you all next Sunday night.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again